Mic's on. Okay,
Okay, I am going to call to order the Plan Commission public hearings. We have 6 public hearings tonight on Wednesday, June 28th, 2023 at 6:30 PM. Could we have the roll call, please?
President Osterman is absent and excused. Trustee Plotecker,
Here.
trustee Beal. Here. Trustee Moonen,
Here.
Commissioner Ilhoffen,
Here.
Commissioner Mouche,
Here.
Commissioner Everly,
Here.
Commissioner Howard. Here. Commissioner McCormick,
Here.
Planner Sumwalt,
Here.
Attorney Macy,
Here.
Engineer Lysis,
Here.
Administrator Nicholas,
Here.
and Clerk Elisa Capazzo Catch to record the minutes.
Okay, notice is hereby given that the joint public hearings will be held by the Lisbon Village Board and Plan Commission on Wednesday, June 28th, 2023, starting at 6:30 PM at the Richard Young Memorial Fire Station, N54W26455, Lisbon Road, to solicit public comments on the following. Public hearing number 1. Proposed floodplain zoning ordinance revisions that are required by state and federal law. Proposed revisions are on file in the office of the village clerk and are intended to protect life, health, and property in floodplain areas and will govern uses permitted in mapped floodplains. Activities such as dredging, filling, excavating, and construction of buildings are generally allowed, but may be restricted according to which flood zone the property is in. A copy of the proposed ordinance has been on file and open for public inspection in the office of the village clerk for a period of at least 2 weeks prior to the public hearing. Oren, do you wanna?
Thank you. So the village has been in the process, it's incorporating of adopting our own floodplain ordinance. It's something that's required as part of the incorporation process. We will no longer be under the county's shoreline and floodplain zoning ordinances. What's before the Plan Commission tonight is the floodplain portion of that. We've used the DNR's template to develop this floodplain ordinance. We've been working closely with their staff and county staff on this project. We had just received word last night that the DNR liked our draft of the ordinance. It says it's in good enough shape to adopt as is. There's a minor technical change, the way that some of the information is presented that they want me to make. The way that the information is presented to the Plan Commission. We're asking that there be a recommendation of approval to the village board. The village board would ultimately have the authority to approve the ordinance. The recommendation is subject to allowing technical review by staff and subject to any DNR comments. And I'm available to answer any questions if the Plan Commission has any.
Okay, is there anyone who wishes to speak on this matter?
If anyone on Zoom has any comments for this public hearing, please use the raise hand function. No hands raised on Zoom.
Okay, public hearing number 1 is closed at 6:30 what? 6:38. Okay, we open public hearing number 2 at 6:39. A request by Lisbon Village Board to assign a zoning district to the properties owned by Land Stone Products used for quarrying, which are located at N52 W23096 Lisbon Road, LSBT 0286.999.007 and LSBT 0286.999.008. Orin?
So as part of a boundary agreement between the, I believe it was then town of Lisbon and the village of Sussex, in order to shore up the borders between the two communities, land was taken over from the village of Sussex by the town of Lisbon. A couple of those parcels included the Land and Stone Quarry properties, which are at K and F essentially. I've got them up on the screen here. When this occurred, those were under the jurisdiction previously of the village of Sussex, and they do not have town, now village zoning because they had Sussex zoning. And so as a housekeeping item, when those came over, they didn't have zoning. Obviously, the historical use there has been quarrying. Nothing is changing with that as part of this proposal. The previous town zoning for that property was Q1. What's being proposed here is to assign Q1 for the village zoning for those parcels.
Okay. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak on this hearing? Anyone on Zoom? Okay, is there anybody on the plan commission that has any questions for Owen?
No.
Okay. Okay, then we're going to close public hearing number 2 at 41, sorry. Okay, we're moving on to public hearing number 3. A request by Joe Bukovich /MLG Capital to rezone the vacant parcel located along Mary Hill Road and known as Tax Key LSBT 0255998 from A10 Agricultural Zoning District to R1 Suburban Single Family Residential Zoning District. Orin?
This request, as you stated, is to rezone a current agricultural field at Mary Hill and Walnut Roads from its current A10 zoning to a zoning that would allow a single-family subdivision, the R1 district. The proposed zoning would be consistent with the future land use map in the comp plan, which prescribes low-density residential for this area. And it would be consistent with the adjacent zoning. There's a single-family subdivision to the Celtic Ridge Estates to the northwest that is zoned R1, and another subdivision to the east that is zoned R2.
Is there anyone here who wishes to speak on this matter? Okay, come forward to the mic, please, and state your name and address for the record. You might have to turn the mic on. I don't know if it's on.
Hello.
I guess it's on.
Okay, my name is Sandy and I represent the Nordman household on North 60 West 25830 Walnut Road. Okay, I vehemently oppose the plan for a number of reasons. One, it would be a change in the historic character of the area. The plan would change the neighborhood in a way that departs from what it has historically been, the serene, healthy, rural character of the area would be lost forever. Secondly, loss of agricultural land. 3, loss of natural habitat for existing animals. As fields are being developed, the animals who thrive in the area are being displaced and eliminated. The sandhill cranes, the deer, the turkeys, etc. 4, increased traffic. The plan has a road, access road directly in front of my house. I face the field. And there's a road planned right in front of my house, in and out. So there would be an incredible increase of traffic. Hundreds of cars, trucks, work vehicles, delivery vehicles, boats, trailers, garbage trucks, mail trucks will constantly flow in and out of the access road in front of my house day after day and year after year. And at night, the lights will be right back at, their lights will come out at me in my home. Number 5, increased noise. With the construction and increased traffic, there will be an increase in noise, thus affecting the historic character of the area and the quality of life of the Walnut Road residents. Now, we understand that there was discussion with the residents of Fox Hill Road who live on a cul-de-sac. And there was a possibility of the road going from their cul-de-sac to the field. Well, when they had the discussion, the residents said, we want to maintain the cul-de-sac as it is. And there was agreement to maintain the cul-de-sac. So the residents of Walnut Road would like to have the same consideration. And we would like to maintain the integrity of our dead-end road, which is quiet, serene, and peaceful. So we will have some questions, like what are the other potential impacts? We want to know if our well will be affected by the construction. Are there going to be sewers and city water? Do we have to connect to the city water? Will we have a tax increase? Will there be visible power lines and poles? And is there a stormwater plan? I couldn't find any information online about that. And then finally, we would like to know, what are the benefits to the residents of Walnut Road of this plan? We only can think of the potential problems, implications. And that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Sir?
All right, my name is Ted Zindars. Live at West 260, North 5833, Mary Hill Road. Well, I want to agree 100% with what Sandy just said. One of my biggest questions is, what's Lisbon turning into, a city? I mean, are we going to have any rural area anymore? We've got all the houses over by Shopko. We've got the other subdivision down Richmond. Are we going to save any parcels of land for agricultural? I mean, sooner or later, where do we get our groceries? I don't want to hear at the grocery store, because I hear that a lot. People aren't concerned about where our food is grown. Well, it's grown on agricultural land and we're losing it. It seems like Lisbon is losing it. I think as a board, you really ought to consider that. This is the community we moved to. I've been here 25 years. And why are we changing so much? Do we need that many more houses around here? I mean, I would really like some answers for that. I agree with everything Sandy just said about the sewers, everything else. I'm now going to be forced to hook up the city water and sewer. The traffic's going to be totally different from what we are used to in that area. I just don't see the need for it. I mean, just because we can doesn't mean we should. So that's my opinion.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anyone else? Sir in the back?
Thank you. My name is Chris Vogel. My address is W256 N5806 North Hill Drive, resident of the Partridge Hills neighborhood. My main comment is just around, and two other people have mentioned it, is around traffic. Obviously, with this new neighborhood, this is going to increase traffic. And as a longtime resident, as someone who grew up here and used to ride his bike to the carousel down Richmond Road, I can tell you that things have changed, and I've grown more and more concerned with the amount of traffic on Richmond. So I would ask that you consider what we're going to do as we add these neighborhoods. We already have Red Oaks or Red Heights or whatever name they came up with going in on Richmond. We have this one, obviously they'll probably use Richmond. You know, as someone who goes to work every day, I can tell you it's a bear getting out onto 164 from Richmond. So does that mean we're gonna add lights as we have more people come into the area? So I would just ask that this committee consider the amount of traffic and the fact that I don't think that Richmond Road can sustain this anymore. So what that means, I don't know. That's up to all of you, but it's something to consider. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Ma'am?
Carrie Carpenter, W260N5913 Mary Hill Road. Also oppose this subdivision. We've got the subdivision on Mary Hill Road and VV Silver Spring. That's 300 houses. There is a proposal by Newman that went in last year to put in another 28 home subdivision by the Ski Hill. The Ski Hill has a 4-year long waiting list and is looking to expand. And we also have roughly 20 houses or so in Ironwood that are still available for sale. Should take all of that and factor in like 2 cars per household. You're talking about adding 700-800 cars with access to Mary Hill Road, which is a little over a mile long. That's enough cars to park end to end all the way up and down both sides of the street. And we're supposed to be able to get out of our driveways. So I have that major concern with the traffic, but also that's a very low-lying area. And all of the water drains into there, and there's typically a pond in the middle of that field. And I know you've got the retaining, pond on there. But when you remove all of that land and you put in all the blacktop and the foundations and everything else, where is all that water going to go? So I have those concerns, and I absolutely agree with what everybody else said here. If this all goes through, I think you're gonna need traffic lights or something just so we can get out of our houses and get onto, either Richmond or VV.
Okay,
Thank you.
you are welcome. Thank you. Ma'am?
Hi, I'm Alexa Smith. My address is West 260 North 5807 Mary Hill Road. I'm right between, I'm just actually south of the Zendars and the Carpenters. I agree with everything that has been said by all the people who are opposing this. Plus one further item. As it is now, getting out of my driveway, it's a blind driveway. The neighbor to my south is also a blind driveway from anybody coming north. There have been numerous times when we've almost been hit just trying to get out of our driveway onto Mary Hill Road. Zindars also have a blind driveway for anybody who's coming from the south. And sometimes people are very respectful and drive the speed limit. And there are a lot of people who don't. And they really zoom through there, and adding a whole subdivision of people who have no choice but to use Mary Hill Road is gonna be just exponentially aggravating the situation. So, it's plus the watershed, the character, taxes. There's a lot of unknown stuff. This is a lot of houses. So again, I just wanted to put my 2 cents in that I'm vehemently against this.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Ma'am?
I'm Lisa Zendars, same address as Ted, W260N5833 Mary Hill Road. Again, going back to the traffic, that one of the entrances to this is right across from our house and just at a slight angle away from our driveway. It's going to add a lot of problems getting in and out of our driveway. We have already had dogs hit because of people going speeding down that road. And with adding that many more cars, it's just going to get worse. I've had people getting very angry with me when I am trying to turn into my driveway as it is, because you have to put on your blinker, half a block ahead of time because of the blind driveways. And just, it's going to make traffic a nightmare. And the road is not built to sustain that much more traffic between Mary Hill, Richmond. It's just adding too much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sir?
Hi, first name Scott, last name Barris, N60 W25770 Walnut Road. I'm also opposed and agree with everything that's been said here tonight. And, the first, we were notified about this other than orange stakes going in the ground was June 9th. And here we are on the 28th. So I think there's some things that have been gone a little bit wrong as far as notifying the community what was going on here. Other than following some website stuff, I understand there were some previous meetings with other neighbors and agreements made already. Nobody's notified us or contacted us or anything. So, again, I agree with what everyone else had said here, and that's all I got.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there anyone else who wishes to comment? Ma'am in the back there?
Hi, my name is Samantha Seibel. I'm at N60 W25776 Walnut Road. All right, thanks. I just want to also reiterate that I'm opposed to the plan. And I agree with everything that's been said so far by my neighbors. I live between Sandy and Mr. Barris. And so actually my residence would be right by one of the proposed exit/entrances for the new subdivision. And I just want to emphasize a few things too here. One of my biggest concerns with the plan is for the wildlife in the area. I've noticed over the 18 years that I've lived in the area that as construction has really ramped up, the wildlife, especially the deer, have had less and less places to go. And this has posed an increasing risk for traffic safety, right? Whether or not you care about the animals and them having a space to live, I think we can all agree that having the deer increasingly crowded into small, largely residential spaces has posed an increasing traffic safety concern. I'm also concerned about the speed on Mary Hill Road. Again, want to agree with what a number of folks have said about safety on that road, but currently that road is 45 miles per hour. I'm not sure how you could keep it that way if you added the proposed subdivision entrance and exits. And thinking about my own resident street on Walnut Road, that street just doesn't have the capacity to handle all of the construction traffic that would be used to build this subdivision. It's not in the best shape as it is. And it certainly doesn't have the space to handle construction traffic and, you know, the needs of those of us who live on that road to get in and out, being a dead end. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I saw another hand, sir.
Good evening. My name is Tom Bernclaw, N60W25864 Walnut Road. Just voice my opposition to the plan for multiple reasons, many of which have already been mentioned. I really like the whitetail deer, and I have pictures here on my phone of over 30 in that field at one time. It's pretty incredible. It's a great destination for wildlife, and hate to see that go with all the rooftops. Maybe more on a technical note, and that is, I know in the area, seasonal high groundwater is an issue. You know, the village of Lisbon has a requirement that all basements have to have 1 foot of separation between basement floor and the seasonal high groundwater elevation. And one thing that I think should certainly be considered on your end is the soil balance, cut and fill volumes, in order to accomplish full basements on these houses and still meet that separation. So if that hasn't been considered, it certainly should be considered before you, before you go ahead with a rezone on the property. And yeah, anyway, that's really all I have. I'm concerned too about traffic. You know, we have the archery range on our road. They're wonderful neighbors, but I will say on their league nights and weekend shoots, the traffic does get a little taxing. And this development will just add more to it. So appreciate your consideration. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Ma'am?
Hello, Beth Seibel, N60W25776 Walnut Road. So I too am opposed to what you are offering here to us tonight. And I agree with what all has been said. This is a quiet road on Walnut Road. We have residents that like to walk on that road. And if you increase the amount of traffic, it makes it unsafe for the people who are walking. We also have people who live on Richmond Road who like to walk on Mary Hill, as do the Celtic Ridge and also the people that live in Walnut Road. If you increase the amount of traffic, not only are you decreasing the area for the animals, but you're also making it unsafe for the residents who already live there to have a place to walk. I'm also concerned about the amount of traffic because with the construction that has already been occurring, people are speeding much more, they're running red lights. Even just this morning, when I was getting on Highway 16, the people that were exiting Highway 16 couldn't even get across the road because there was constant traffic. So the amount of traffic that we've increased, I can't even bike to work anymore because it's not safe. There's too much traffic in the area. Sandy brought up a lot of good stuff, and I would agree with all of those concerns. Some of the other things that I'm wondering about is like, you talked to the neighbors that had the cul-de-sacs. You never once talked to the neighbors on Walnut Road. We're impacted too. It affects us. Just imagine if you were living in a neighborhood, a quiet neighborhood, and all of a sudden a big subdivision was going up and you were never consulted. I think that hurts because we've been residents here for 18 years too. And so we want to have a say in what's happening in our neighborhood. I think also some of the other things is the construction traffic. How is that going to work? What are you going to do with the road then? Because it's going to get torn up. It's going to get wrecked because the amount of the space that we have, it's not built for a ton of construction. And then also, I just want to say that I agree, Sherwood Forest, they have traffic. So you add that to the mix and then the construction as well. So I thank you for your time. And again, I strongly oppose.
Thank you. Madam Chairman, do we want to address some of the questions that came up? I'm sorry, what? Would you like to address some of the questions that came up? Well, I was gonna have everybody finish talking
Okay,
first.
it was just,
Anyone else? Ma'am?
Carrie Carpenter again. I just wanted to address as well, it wasn't forefront in my mind, but the school buses, when they run, they stop outside our driveways and they pick up our children all along Mary Hill Road. I believe it's the same for Walnut. And I would be very concerned about having my child standing by the roadside with all of this increase in traffic. So even if they had to go to some sort of a central location, I wouldn't feel comfortable with them walking up and down Mary Hill Road any longer. So I think that should be a consideration as well that needs to be addressed and solved.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, anyone else have a comment?
Hello, my name is Ann Neeson, Niesen, North 59 W25718, Erie. This directly affects us as the proposed plan puts Erie Drive through to the new proposed subdivision. And unfortunately, the only person who approached me is a person from Point Real Estate. However, there was nothing else stated other than handing me the proposal. So, and then finding out that Erie Drive is going to be a through street, that kind of threw me for a loop without anybody saying anything. Also, in the agenda today, Fulth, who seems to be the representative for the Plan Commission, there's a contradiction in here. The staff recommends that Fox Hollow Drive extend to Autumn Lane. Such an extension would promote connectivity within the neighborhood, avoid the creation of non-conforming lots within the Partridge Hill subdivision, and avoid the creation of a cul-de-sac that doesn't meet the village current road design. So they were saying that what I'm interpreting is that Fox Hollow was to be put through to the proposed subdivision. However, in the Kunkel Engineering Group paperwork, it says that Erie Drive will be the through road. So there's the contradiction in here, and if you could address that, I would appreciate it. But as everyone has stated thus far, I am against this right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Sir?
Hello, my name's Nick Cody, W2605985 Mary Hill Road. As everybody else here tonight, I am also opposed to the subdivision going across the farm field. So not as tenured as everybody else here. I've been in the area for about 6 years, going on 7 years. Main reason to come to this location is, you know, the wildlife. It's convenient, can be pretty convenient to get to everywhere, but still has that rural feel that I grew up with. And that's something I wanted for my family, which has now come to fruition with a almost 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. So I do have concerns that we're going to lose that. The main reason why we chose the location were to buy a house and watch our kids grow up, losing the touch with nature. The safety factor has been brought up. They'll be starting school here before I know it. And with the current conditions on Mary Hill and increased traffic, it is a very great concern for the little ones that I have at home.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Sir?
My name is David Hawk, North 58 was 25611 Windy Pass Drive. I'm concerned about the well water. over 35, 45 years that I've lived, my well water has dropped 14 feet. I think a lot of it is probably due to the ski hill and to the golf course. So I just had my pump replaced. I had to have it dropped again. So I hope somebody's watching this. I'm sure the subdivision is going to be on well water. Does anybody know? I'm not concerned about the septic. I think we got that figured out. But the loss of well water is going to be an issue for a lot of people. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Okay, is there anyone on Zoom?
If anyone on Zoom wishes to speak, please use the raise hand function. No hands raised on Zoom.
Okay, all right. Is someone here from MLG Capital? Okay, would you like to stand up here and maybe you can answer some of these questions and
Good evening. My name is Joe Vukovich with MLG Capital. And I'm joined by my associate Dan Scardino from Point Real Estate. Let's go through some of the questions here, get back to some of my notes. In terms of some of the questions, I guess just basically a layout, some comments on the layout. The property size is just under 58 acres. And there's 40 lots proposed that are all at least an acre in size. So from a rural development standpoint, that's a good sized lot for a rural setting. The loss of ag land that unfortunately is what's happening in Waukesha County. It's a county that's growing. And there's a housing shortage and people need places to live. And it's now gotten to the point where development has gotten out to this part of the county. The increase in traffic, 40 lots, 5-6 trips a day. You're talking 250 divided by 24 hours in a day, call it 12 hours a day that people are using the road. It's a small incremental increase to the traffic in the area.
okay, let's be respectful.
The subdivision will be developed with mound systems, so there won't be any sewer. And it'll be on wells, so there won't be any water delivered to the area. All utility lines will be buried, and taxes are out of our control. One of the benefits of new development, it does help with raising tax money for the village, and I would expect this would be the case with this subdivision as well. Yeah, so the entrances that we talked about, the one on Mary Hill, where Autumn Way connects in, that was set at a high point in the road for sight distances to help with traffic coming in and out of our subdivision, to help see the cars coming either north or south. If it needs to be adjusted slightly to be aligned with the driveway across the streets, that's something that's a simple tweak that we could do. And then you also like to have 2 access points to each neighborhood for life and safety issues. And that's where the Walnut Drive connection is coming in. And that is opposite. We try to locate that where there isn't a house right across the street from it. While taking into account the layout of the lots and the required mound system locations. And then the Erie Drive connection, all of Partridge Hills is served, I don't know, there's 60, 70 lots in Partridge Hills. It's all served off of one road. And for a lot of years, every meeting that I go to is everyone likes to have 2 access points for life and safety. And we're providing that by Erie Drive. The one thing I respectfully disagree with is the staff recommendation of connecting Fox Hollow Drive. We do try to consider neighbors when we're planning these in terms of how they impact the adjacent lots. And having a second connection at Fox Hollow, which is a few hundred feet south of Erie Drive, with more residents on Fox Hollow, we thought that was a little bit redundant. And so we're only proposing to make the Erie Drive connection, which provides a life and service connection either through Autumn Way to get to Erie, to get to the north side in case roads are blocked or the fire or ambulance couldn't get to the north side of Partridge Hills. In terms of notices and orange stakes, those orange stakes were for testing for mound systems and for groundwater, and we have some preliminary results on that. We're in the early stages of doing that due diligence as well. We had concerns about groundwater and the location of the mound system, so we wanted to do that before we brought this to you. Based on our past experience and the engineers and soil scientists that we're working with, we're confident with this layout that we'll get the mound systems to work and be able to avoid the groundwater. Were there some other comments? Stormwater is being, the majority of it is being treated in the center of the site. All the topography kind of goes down to that center portion. And that's where we'll design the ponds to handle all the stormwater and meet the required village ordinances. There's some smaller ones on the north side and on the west side, adjacent to Mary Hill and Walnuts. That'll help trap a little bit of the water before it escapes that we can't get into the pond. So there's a relatively large area, and the stormwater will work on this site. One of the reasons for the road configuration too, when we were taking this into account when we were planning the site, is we tried to keep the road more on the hill as it's going around. A lot of these lots will have exposures, partial or full exposures. That'll help keep the lots up and out of the groundwater and help avoid the need for large amounts of fill and cutting and filling and importing dirt. It's not our intent to have to import any, and we will engineer it to keep the basements out of the groundwater while limiting any import of material. So I don't know if there's other questions that you had written down, Kathy, or from the board, that commission that might want to answer at this point.
The residents asked why you spoke with the people on Fox Hollow, the 2 people on Fox Hollow, but you didn't speak with everyone else.
Yes. Dan, you want to answer?
That's because I'm Dan Scardino from Point Real Estate. We're working with the Getz family for the sale of the property. The reason why we reached out to some neighbors is because this development, we're not asking for any variances or change of zoning or changing any future land use plan at all. I wouldn't be able to tell you.
Sir, this is a hearing.
Thank you. We are asking.
You're not asking for a rezone.
We're for something different than what was in the called for in the future land use plan of the village of Lisbon. Thank you for correcting me, Mr. Macy. So I'm not sure what year the future land use plan was created by the town of Lisbon, but we started working with the Getz family about a year ago, working with and in coordination with the village at that time town to figure out a nice plan for the site. The connections to the east of the property itself, we noticed that there was some excess lands to the south on Fox Hollow Court. We're not asking for a variance to keep a cul-de-sac there. And obviously this is just a rezoning, and we can get into all of the minutia of the development once we get our design plans done and we go for a preliminary plat. This is simply a rezoning. From what I understand, that is the plan for which the town now Village of Lisbon has planned for, I'm guessing for 20 years. I don't know what year that was created though. The stormwater, the grading, the power lines. I'm an old grading guy, Joe's an engineer. All of those.
Speak into the microphone. We have people.
I'm an old grading guy, Joe's an engineer, so he keeps me straight. So the site will balance. We're grading a large stormwater pond in the middle of it to create a conveyance for wildlife through the middle of the development. We absolutely love it. The subdivision to the east is 71 single-family home sites. The average lot size is about 0.8 acres. This development is proposed to be R1, a little bit larger, an acre minimum or a little bit larger, which is consistent with the R1 zoning within the community. Again, from a rezoning standpoint, we're following, in my opinion, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Macy, we're following what the forefathers of the town of Lisbon, now the Village of Lisbon, had planned for this property for years.
Well, not exactly. They planned for Fox Hollow to go through, and the staff feels very strongly that all the plans were to go through, and you don't want to do that. So we're not doing everything that was planned for this project.
Understood. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, would you please, just a minute, would you please explain when the gentleman's done speaking to the audience? Because this is a rezoning, hearing how you go about notifying people.
Absolutely.
Would you like to finish your comment first? I didn't mean to interrupt.
Sure, no problem. I apologize as well. Just to go a little further into the notification of the neighbors on Fox Hollow. What our intent there is to work with them to dedicate the necessary right of way to make that a permanent cul-de-sac. And we can probably talk about that a little bit more when the time comes in the concept plan. But that was the reason why we're talking to them about getting their involvement to help make the cul-de-sac and the right of way meet the required village requirements.
Okay, Madam Clerk,
Someone's gonna turn their mic off. Okay, so what we do when we get the vast majority of plan commission applications that require a public hearing notice. It is a 2-week publication in the newspaper. Lisbon's designated newspaper is the Waukesha Freeman. I do have copies of the public hearing notice that was published. It was published on June 14th and June 21st. When that hits the paper, we also mail out public hearing notices. So my guess is that's how most of you found out about this. This is the map of the buffered parcels. We mail out public hearing notices to any parcel located within 500 feet of the border of the subject parcel. That is based on Waukesha County GIS mapping system. I do have a list of everyone who received a public hearing notice. This is well beyond the statutory requirements. And also what is required by our ordinance. We go beyond that. We also have all of the public hearing notices. We have all of the concept plan and the rezoning and application documents on the legal notice and public hearing page of Lisbon's website for the public to view. Does that
Thank
answer your
you.
question?
Yes, I think that answers their question.
Madam Chairman?
Yeah, oh, yes, I couldn't see who was talking.
One of the questions that came up was, when is that Walnut Road was in bad shape and when was that going to be repaved? I did reach out while I was up here to our Public Works Director. He has it in the plans to be pulverized and repaved in the next couple of years. So if this
subdivision is approved, we would wait until the majority of the subdivision has been completed and then put in a new road, pulverize and repave that road. So it'll be like a new road for you.
Okay, thank you. Do the board members have any questions?
Go ahead, Joe.
No? None from down there?
Well, I have to remind everybody, this is your opportunity. If you have to, about the rezoning, you have to ask it now.
Well, I do have a question that was brought up here by the gentleman over here about the drawdown of water. With your background, I was reading, I saw the wetlands report and a number of the reports. The adding of 40 other lots, and this gentleman had a question about drawing well water down. Have you looked into or what the agronomics of these?
We have not looked at that at this point. And I can't say 40 homes, 2.5 people per home, times 100 gallon per person. Is that going to affect the groundwater? I don't know. That's something that we'd have to look at.
Okay.
I had a question on the stormwater pond that's in the center. I have a question on the stormwater pond in the center of the development that's planned. Is that going to be a wet basin or a dry basin just for overflow?
It'll be a wet basin.
Is there enough area around it to allow for overflow so that residential lots will not be flooded out when we have high rain events?
Absolutely. Yes.
And where is that overflow going to go?
It'll overflow towards to Fox Hollow Drive. There's currently a drain in it right now that drains that area to Fox Hollow Drive.
So it'll be draining it to the subdivision to the east?
Correct.
And where is that water going to go on those properties?
It'll
There's no
continue to head
stormwater over
to
there.
the east and then to the south, the way it does now. Any water that's in that ditch right now it'll follow that same path. But that pond will be designed to meet the required code that everyone's approved for meeting the required stormwater that we have to address on the site.
So one thing to add on that, and I know that you're the engineer, but when a new residential subdivision is created, the stormwater is actually shaved, that they shave the peaks off of it. So the peak flow off of this field will be less post-construction than it will be pre-construction. So think of it as a flood. Well, that water gets retained and then released at a certain amount of time through engineering. So if they get a deluge of water right away, that deluge of water is retained within the pond and released at a slower rate. So the balance would be slower released to the neighbors.
I understand that, but this is also an area with apparently very high groundwater based on what some of the residents have said.
Yeah.
And
So it's really funny. We're on top of the hill and we have high groundwater. There's a level of perched soils in that whole area. It's very unique to that entire area of Waukesha County, to where you've got clay heavy soils. That's why you have to have mound systems. So from a saturation standpoint, there's virtually no infiltration today, and you can correct me with that. So what we have to do is create larger stormwater ponds to compensate for it. Hopefully that helps.
and I did have one other question, and maybe our engineer can answer this. Is there no longer a limit on the number of mound systems that can be developed at one time? Back in the day, there used to be, and I don't know if that's changed or not.
I don't know that specifically. That's all permitted through the county though.
Okay.
Just one more question. I sound like I was just looking at the soil composition. It's the vast majority is loam. From what I understand, it's relatively loose, which means that, and forgive me, I don't really know that, but water will flow a little bit faster through loam than a clay. So as we talked about the flow going through Fox Hollow in that area, do you see any issues with that being a problem?
That's a very good question. So we've actually done soils testing to date to figure out where the
Yeah, I saw the
Yep.
report.
we've done testing for the mound systems. We've done preliminary testing for the ordinary and not ordinary high, seasonal high groundwater, which we need to do more for. So that will be adjusted as we get that data back. But you're absolutely right. It's a very good question.
Yeah, that's why I was
Yeah.
paging through it. to
And,
find the
and back to your
report again.
question on the wells itself, those are permitted through the county and they decide that those are inspected and decided that, that there will be an issue or not an issue. And that's all approved through the county and state.
Absolutely. I just want to make sure that everybody here has. all
Right.
that
Yeah, I
data
just,
that's on-
I just
on
want to
the
make
data.
sure that, we just don't check that out. It just doesn't occur. There is multiple governmental agencies, you being one of them, to get through. And then the county and the state that dictate the sanitation and the wells themselves. So all of that gets looked at before one house or 1 inch of dirt gets moved.
Understood. Yeah, Joe, do you have anything?
Thank you so much.
Said you had a question?
Yeah, I got a question for you. Fox Hollow Drive naturally looks like it was planned by the forefathers of Lisbon to extend through to any future development. You guys chose to use Erie Drive and not that of Fox Hollow Drive in addition to Erie Drive. Why?
Frankly, it's shorter. It's a shorter travel to Walnut Drive. So if you take a look at, is it Partridge Hill? I can't remember the name. Partridge Hills to the east, there's 71 homes there. That all leads down to one bottleneck that goes to Richmond Road currently. So when we did that, we wanted to make sure that we pulled enough, because I'm sure some of the neighbors are going to be traveling through our property to get to Mary Hill Road. So we took the northernmost cul-de-sac and then divided the traffic up, compensating for the neighbors that are going to be traveling through our property.
Sure. Let me rephrase my question. Why not use both?
Well, that's obviously a negotiation between us. We're proposing that from a rezoning standpoint. We hope to work with the municipality to help us. So one, it's obviously, you have nothing to do with the cost for development itself. We were hoping to have a grass mowed trail to our subdivision from theirs. And then from a corner lot and a taxation standpoint, those lots ourselves are 380 feet apart. I know that the the village of Lisbon has a minimum requirement between intersections of 250 feet, which meets that requirement. But when we design other communities to having 2 or 3 access points, and mind you, when the land gets developed to the east of Partridge, and I keep on forgetting the name, to the east of that, there'll be other connectivity, I'm assuming to Richmond Road, and then also possibly to Highway 164 through the village of Sussex. So knowing that the subdivision to the east since 1968 has one access point, we're adding 2 more and 40 single family home sites. Frankly, as a developer, we don't like roads. We don't like maintaining roads. We don't like building roads. We want to keep the rural character of the community. The least amount of roads that we have and make sure that we take care of fire safety. It helps everyone. It helps from a property value standpoint. It helps from a construction standpoint itself. If we put another road there, we've got 2 more corner lots. The values of the corner lots are less, the homes are going to be worth less, and then the municipality will have to maintain another 350 feet of road in the future. Excuse me. And I should have brought a glass of water with me. Did that answer your question?
Not really, but.
I'm sorry.
Let me try to get this.
Okay.
So what I just passed out here is a wider view of the whole area and the road patterns in and surrounding October Fields and Partridge Hills. So you'll see that Partridge Hills has one connection to Richmond Road. So you go back up to Walnut Road and you connect to Erie. That gives them the second connection as far north as possible within that neighborhood. The second one to the south, Fox Hollow, if you extended it, it's about 300 feet away. Is that necessary to extend it versus impacting the existing neighbors that are there? Fox Hollow has 5 houses on it and Erie has 3, which is the second reason. From a fire, so if you can kind of balance that with life and safety issues, does it increase life and safety if Fox Hollow is extended? And in our opinion, it doesn't. If you look at various routes for emergency vehicles, the fastest route is if you start at the corner of Richmond and Mary Hill. If you head east to North Hill Drive, head north on North Hill Drive to the intersection of Fox Hollow and North Hill Drive, that distance is just under 3,200 feet. That's going to be your fastest route to serve any ambulances, fire trucks, police calls, whatever. So if North Hill Drive is blocked for whatever reason, the tornado goes through or someone crashes, and then there's a second emergency to the north. So then you have two routes. You could go from that, start at that same intersection, go north to Autumn Way, which is the proposed internal road, follow that around to the east and to the north and to Erie Drive. And going back to that same lot, if you look at the tax key that ends in 017, I use that as the same ending point. That route is 5,027 feet, so just about 1,900 feet longer. If you take the same route and go up Mary Hill to Walnut to Autumn Way to Erie down to 017, it's 5514. So though that's response times that I'm looking at for those. The Richmond Road to North Hill Drive is obviously fastest. If I look at the difference between the Erie Drive route and the Fox Hollow connection, the Fox Hollow alternative is 4,098 feet, which is about 1,000 feet less. Going 30 miles an hour for an ambulance, that equates to about 21 seconds. So do you need two, or is Erie Drive and North Hill Drive gonna be blocked at the same time that you need Fox Hollow? Highly unlikely. And you don't gain a large benefit by extending both of those for emergency services. So hopefully, Mr. Moonen, that answers your question. If you want me to go through any of those numbers again, or I can certainly do that. There's a lot of information. But it was the various routes that we went through just to find the best emergency paths to go.
Well, and looking at your plan here, it looks like the reason you can't extend Fox Hollow is because that's where your drainage runs off of the stormwater pond.
It's not a physical limitation. We could run that through a pipe to a ditch or from a ditch. We don't have elevations established yet. But that's not the concern. The concern is just making an unneeded, in the developer's opinion, a connection that is not needed for life and safety, connectivity, and it tries to limit some of the impacts to the neighborhood.
Can I ask a question of the engineer, for our engineer?
Pardon me?
May I ask a question to the engineer, please? Knowing with the increased traffic and the increased there, and I know that we were talking about repaving and pulverizing, what is the probability that Richmond Road will have to be widened to accommodate this in the future?
Excuse me.
Oh, hi, I'm sorry.
Hi. No, I was wondering, might be, either way. So when we would do, whether it's Walnut or Richmond Road, we would have to look at that and make sure that we bring it up to the village's standards. So I know some of the roadways out there that we have are a little bit narrower than where we designed our roadways today. So we would definitely look at that and make sure that we add that width at a future date when we get to that point. So.
And that would impact some of the property owners on Richmond to some degree down about, about 10, 12, 14.
Yeah,
Just looking at them.
possibly our village standard is 24 foot wide. A lot of the roadways out there right now are about 20 to 22 feet.
What?
She doesn't have the floor.
I'm sorry. It's not time for the residents again. Okay, does anybody Linda?
I have a quick question. After reviewing this, is there any chance or have you thought about not having a street hookup on Walnut Road and do not have that exit there and leave the Walnut people there. And then maybe hook up to Fox Hollow, or you say you need two, you got Erie. Fox Hollow to me is the perfect spot to go with the road and myself. I'm not an engineer, but just looking at this. Can't you do another exit beside Walnut Road? Have you tried that?
That was discussed real early on in the development and I wasn't a part of it at that point. It was requested that we brought access to Walnut Road. And I'm not sure about the background on it, but that was a request of the village.
Okay, that was just wanted to know why and I myself, I think to close that off and do another route, that was all. Thank you.
To follow up on my first question, would connecting Fox Hollow to Autumn Way decrease your number of lots within your development?
No, it would not. It was set up the way we have the outlet there, that it won't. What will happen is all those lots would decrease in width. It would be used for right of way instead of people's lots. The home pad or building pad for lot 17 will get pushed closer to the mound system that'll be in that area. That's information you guys might not have, might be shown on the map there, but it will compress everything and create two more corner lots. It's not desirable.
Any other questions from the board? Kathy, anything more? Orin, anything? Okay. All right.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Now I'm going to ask if there are any more comments from the audience. You may have not liked the answers, but I think we've covered all your questions. But if you have additional questions, now is the time to ask. Sir in the back.
Tom Burnclaw again, Walnut Road. The concern that I have looking at this plan, again, it goes back to the seasonal high groundwater. I can tell you, not being a soils engineer or soil tester, the groundwater is high. In many cases at the surface, in many cases 24, 36 inches below the surface. Let's look at best case scenario, 36 inches down. You got a 9-foot basement wall that's going to go 24 inches in the ground to meet your separation. So he mentions that, they're aiming for a soil balance. Well, as a developer, he very well may get with soil balance, but when they come to building these homes, I can promise you there will be significant amount of fill going into these properties, okay? Because these basements have to stick out of the ground, 100% guaranteed. The other thing is, and I think Brian could probably attest to this, is you look at the site grading around these homes and it's not that it's not doable. You can build a home basically with the basement a foot or two into the ground, but you have to bring that fill in. And then when you do that, there's multiple things that have to happen there. You have to have the room on your side yards to be able to grade. And you also have to have a distance between your garage and the edge of your road so your driveway isn't excessively steep. The other option there is dropping the garage. Like there's several houses out here in Harvest Ridge off of K that have dropped garages for that purpose. There's high groundwater. They can't put the garage up at the standard height of the house, and they have to drop the garage, and then they have steps from their garage into the home, and then steps coming around the side, the front of the garage to a raised front porch. So I think there are some building considerations here that are problematic for how tight they have the lots on the acreage. And I just think that should certainly be considered with regards to recommending for a rezone at this time. I think that should be looked at closer and, maybe consider larger lots or something to that effect to account for that, or do better yet. I mean, do some more extensive groundwater study and see where that seasonal high groundwater is for each of the building sites and then make a determination from there. So thank you, appreciate your time.
Okay, anyone else? Sir?
All right, again, this is Ted Zinder, Mary Hill Road. Couple issues. I heard the comment that there's a housing shortage. Okay, where are the people coming from that are gonna fill these houses? And there's also a food shortage, agricultural. Here again, we're taking away our agricultural land. Do we really need this? Do we need this in Lisbon? Do we need it right here? One thing I would like to say to the board, listen to your people. There isn't a person in here that wants this. Listen to us. We elect you. We got you there because you're supposed to do what we want. I really think you ought to consider it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Ma'am?
Me again, Nordman. The question was asked, why Walnut Road? There was no answer to that. No one knows the answer to that. The information was not provided as to why the access road to Walnut Road. That's number one. Secondly, we were told that the road faces an empty lot. I have a copy of the development plan, and it doesn't look like the road, the access road to Walnut Road faces an empty lot. It looks like it faces my house. Okay, I would like clarification of that. Third, the statement was made that the lots were a good size for a rural lot. Well, once you make all this project, it's no longer rural. So when you say rural lot, what does that mean? I would like a definition of rural lot. That's number 3. And then a statement was made, there would just be a small increase in traffic. That's bogus. That is bogus. It's frustrating being here. It's a nightmare waiting to happen. Please don't. Please don't. Thank you. Somebody can address those issues, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Beth Seibel, when you asked the question of why did you not talk to Walnut Road? If you look at the recording, it was never addressed. It was never answered when it was asked specifically to them. And then also, I would agree, your question about Walnut Road, I appreciate. And the response was, it was a request of the village. And I guess I'm wondering whose request? Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Ma'am?
I also ask that you do not pass this proposal. You have to remember that we have the ski hill there. That's sort of unique in a residential neighborhood to have this commercial business there. That ski hill adds a lot of traffic. And with their expansion plans, it's increasing the number of traffic that's already on that road. It's also used by several of the high schools and the ski teams. So there's going to be a tremendous amount of traffic, and somebody mentioned widening the roads. There are houses on both sides of Mary Hill Road that would not allow the widening of roads. I don't believe there's enough footage there to widen the road any further. So I would also ask you to take those things into consideration, because It's not just one subdivision that's going in. It's the Ironwood East, the Ironwood West, it's the Richmond Road subdivision, it's the development on the other end of Richmond and Silver Spring. It's too much. Our little mile-long road can't handle that. It's only a mile. And if there's a traffic accident or anything on that mile, we're all blocked. So please, don't pass this.
Thank you. Sir?
Hello again, Chris Vogel. Just two things. One, clarifying, the gentleman had said that because of the retaining pond, the water that's going to run along Fox Howell will be less. I'm just trying to clarify that statement, because I know I live on Fox Howell North Hill, and when it rains heavy, I mean, it's a river. I mean, I can break out the kayak, it's so much. And I just don't know if what he was saying is actually accurate, that somehow there's going to be less water that's going to run as we have heavy rainfalls. So just a clarifying there. And then the second thing is I would like to reinforce the idea of the traffic. I know the gentleman said he felt like it would be a minor uptick. I struggle to believe that. If you've ever gone by Richmond School during drop-off time, I can tell you it's chaotic, more homes and more people. And as much as I want students at Richmond, I think that's going to be an impact. And then in addition to that, let's face it, if we put a neighborhood there, the amount of Amazon trucks and FedEx and stuff, they are going to be coming up, and my neighbors on Erie are going to be directly impacted by that. They're not going to go around, they're going to cut through these neighborhoods. So I think that should be taken into consideration as well as you think about traffic. I don't believe it's a minor uptick. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anyone else? Sir, Joe, could you come up and explain this gentleman's comment about the water? And also, if you have an answer for why you picked to come out on Walnut Road.
From a water standpoint, you're looking at flow rate. So if there's 100 gallons flowing during a certain storm today, we have to be at 100 gallons or less per minute. So we will reduce the rate based on any stormwater ordinance over the past 30 years. And I'm sorry, your second question.
Was why come out on Walnut Road?
That was before I was involved in the project. I don't have that information.
We originally had a design for 42 single-family home sites for the property. We went with staff. The 42 single-family home sites met the R1 zoning. We did not have a connection point to Walnut Road. At that time, staff asked us for a connection point to Walnut Road, and we changed it. We removed 2 single-family home sites, and we are here today.
Okay, thank you. Okay, does anyone else have anything they want to ask or say? Okay, sir.
All right, Nick from Mary Hill Road again. There were several comments brought up about the impact to wildlife. It didn't sound like any of that was addressed as far as how to maintain some of the active wildlife we all have come to enjoy. Whether or not you could make a berm or plant several rows of trees or some sort of natural path to limit the impact to the wildlife in the area that we've all come to enjoy. That seems to be something that wasn't addressed.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
If you look at the site plan from east to west, there is a connection. We are proposing some screening along Mary Hill and along Walnut with trees. I'm not sure that's the greatest location to have deer bedding right next to the road. They're out there eating, they're not bedding there, so where they're not living on that property right now. So they're living north or south or east. So taking away habitat. Yes, it's not agricultural anymore, but the deer have survived development through Waukesha County for a long time, and they'll still be there. You might not see them as often. That is one thing that we can't control with development.
Okay. Thank you. Ma'am?
Beth Daniel, N61W25681 Walnut Road. I guess my concern is safety. There's a lot of, like people have said in the past, I'm opposed because there's lots of people walking. My kids are out there riding their bikes, they're walking, they're going to their friend's house. Is there any plan to add a shoulder to Mary Hill Road, to Walnut Road, to Richmond Road? You know, these are areas where I'm not wanting my kids out there because there just isn't room for walkers, for pets, for bicycles. Is that anywhere in part of the plan?
Okay, thank
That's
you.
all. Thank you.
Okay, does anyone know about future plans, maybe to put a wider shoulder out there?
So we have not looked at this at this point in time. If we were to look at this and have the budget, a budget for this, we would definitely could look at that and adding a shoulder. And even what I've done in other communities as well is when we pulverize and we overlay, if we've got the room, the right of way, and also still be able to convey the stormwater, we could look at widening out that roadway for potentially having pedestrian access along the side of it as well, so.
Okay, thank you, Mitch. Okay, anyone else? Sir? You, I'm sorry.
I guess I want my question answered. I've asked this board this a million times. When are we gonna stop getting rid of our agricultural land in Lisbon? Can I get an answer from somebody? I mean, we've got a food shortage in this country. We keep getting rid of our farmland. What? What is this community changing into? Again, nobody here wants this. I'd like an answer. Where is this going to stop? Are we going to lose every inch of agricultural in Lisbon? Do we need to find a different community to move to? It's getting ridiculous. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir?
Robert Carpenter, West 260, North 5913, Mary Hill Road. My understanding is that if there's improvement to any roads in the state of Wisconsin, I believe it's a state law they just passed that you have to add a walkway or a sidewalk to it. I don't know if that's true or not, but I swear I just heard that from one of the planners. But there would not be enough room because there's houses on both sides, and there would not be enough room to widen the road to your 24 feet and add a walkway, because that would take up to like 30 to 35 feet to add a walkway. And just, it's too dangerous, too many vehicles. I try to get out of my driveway sometimes in the morning. There's cars that go by me 65, 70 miles an hour. I don't want the increased traffic. I know how you can cure this. Take that subdivision, cut it from 40 down to 4. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other comments? Okay, just remember that this is just a request for rezoning. This is not approval or disapproval of a subdivision, okay? So we are only doing the rezoning tonight. Okay. Any other
Yeah,
questions?
I would just like to address the question regarding what is considered rural. Rural residential per the comprehensive plan would be 5-acre lots. This property per the comprehensive plan is planned for low density. So that's per the land use map in the comprehensive plan. Low density residential allows for 20,000 square foot to 1.4 acre lots. So the proposal for R1, which allows 1 acre lots, is consistent with what the land is planned for the land use plan in the comprehensive plan. That's comparable to what the adjacent subdivision Partridge Hills, what their land use is, what the lots to the north, what their land use is. And the lots to the south, that's what that area is planned for as well. So there is a pocket of properties along Mary Hill to the west that is rural residential as far as what it is planned for. But the remaining 3 sides of this lot are all planned for low density residential, similar to what similar densities, if you will, to what's being proposed for this rezoning.
Okay,
Can we have can we also maybe address the comment that staff made the exit on Autumn Way? Autumn Way to Walnut, sorry.
Yeah, I think we talked about that, road going through to Walnut during the preliminary, when we brought it in the first time, to make sure that we had a through street, another through street that wasn't going through a subdivision. So that was why it was put in. And that reduced the number of lots by 2.
okay, is there anyone who would like to answer the gentleman's question about the farmland?
Do you want to do that or on the comprehensive plan?
Yeah, so the area of village that has the largest amount of proposed rural land would be in the northwest corner of the village. So this would be up near county line. The area up there has the largest lot sizes remaining. It was recommended in the county's plan a while back as a potential agricultural enterprise area. There is no true agricultural preservation land in the village. Most of that, per the county's plan, is actually in western Waukesha County, in communities that are adjacent to Jefferson County.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Well,
What the board's intent is.
Are you changing it
from rural to all houses?
That's the only answer you can give. The only decision is the comp plan is the guide, and the comp plan is the guide, and then that's the only decision anyone could give at any time, that the vision of the future of the community is as set out in the comp. And again, if you don't like that answer, I'm sorry, but that's the only answer anyone is going to be able to give you.
Okay, so again, my question is, we in the community elect all of you. You're not doing what we're saying here in this meeting. And you're gonna come up with just some fancy term that, oh, okay, we're gonna have a section of land here maybe. Really? I don't think we accept any of this.
Right. I'll answer it from a board perspective. We do review the comprehensive plan at the appropriate time, and this we had set years ago what the comprehensive plan is based off multiple recommendations. So this is not the time that we would go about changing something like that. It's already been set, and essentially what the planner and attorney are saying is that it's already set and they are putting something there that is acceptable to the plan. I don't know how much, I guess
I just want
I
you
don't
to
think we're
flat
gonna- I don't
out tell
think
me
we're gonna
you want
answer
to
your
sell as
question
much
here.
land as you can. That's what I want you to tell me, the truth. Just tell me the truth. You want to sell as much land to developers as you can to make as much money as you can, and you don't care about the people that live in there.
We don't own the land.
But you're,
We, selling the land, we don't own the land, the village doesn't. They're not
You're
developing
rezoning
the
it.
land. Well, that's not what you said.
it's
You're
what?
trying to decide whether or not the request of the petitioner to rezone the land is, a reasonable request based on the.
Okay, you think we're, excuse me, but you think we're ignorant? You rezoned the land from agricultural to residential. What are you gonna do now? Plant crops on residential land? No, you're gonna put up houses and stuff. Just because we live in a country don't mean we're stupid. Really?
Sir, I don't think anybody up here is saying that. What we are saying is that the plan has already been set years ago. We cannot change what the plan.
Years
has been-
ago, you
Hold on.
planned on
I
building.
was respectful to you and let you finish.
All
Let
right,
me
I
finish.
get you.
The plan has been put in place. The applicant is asking for a permitted use of that land. That is all we're here for to consider tonight. We're not here to change any plans.
So no matter what we said here tonight,
Yes,
it don't matter. You had the plan set.
you're absolutely correct. That's
Thank
why communities have planning plans.
All I know is I'm not voting for any. Again.
We appreciate everybody's comments today. It may not affect the rezoning decision because what they're proposing does comply with the comprehensive development plan for the Village of Lisbon. But all of your comments are very helpful when we come to actually look at what kind of development's going to be put on this land. So your comments are not being ignored. I find them all very helpful.
Yes, sir.
Robert Carpenter again. And you rezone it so that the lots are bigger. Because we don't want 40 homes. Like I said, if you can rezone it where the lots have to be larger, say minimum 10 acres would be fine by me. But if we can get from 40 down to 4, I mean, I don't know what the rezoning would be like, R1, R2, R3, whatever classification it takes. Don't pass this. You fully understand that nobody here wants this. I don't even know if you guys really want it. If you live on our streets up there, I know you don't want it. Find a way. That's all I'm asking. Find a way to not pass this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any more comments before I close this public hearing?
I just have a quick statement. On the website for Lisbon, the county plan is on there for any resident to see. Am I correct? Yes, okay, so I just want, it's on the website. You can look at it and review it. Thank you.
Okay,
Madam Chair, the only other comment I'd have is if the board has any other questions, although we're not necessarily needing to go into the details of the site plan or the conceptual plan, which we'll do later as part of the rezoning. You've had a great deal of talk about the road, but I don't know that you've had thorough and complete talk about the road. So if the roads is going to play into your decision, you better have a little more discussion about the roads. Especially the effect that would occur if you eliminated the Walnut Road exit. And we're gonna push all of that onto Erie, purportedly. Nobody's even talked about the implications. Everybody was, the reason I'm bringing it up is because people seem to be leaning to, they think it's a great idea to eliminate the road to Walnut. Has anybody thought about what the consequences would be to the existing subdivision if you eliminated the road to Walnut? And then nobody even commented about it. It's like they all thought, yeah, let's eliminate Walnut. Well, I'm surprised no one thought that that might be a serious problem. But nobody's commented. If the board doesn't have questions or issues about that, we don't have to talk about it. But, you know, the staff recommendation was still to connect both of them because that's what was planned. But that'll be dealt with later, I guess. But the Walnut thing is a whole new concept.
Okay, does anyone have any comments on the roads?
I have concerns with the amount of traffic that's going to be going out on Mary Hill because there are other subdivisions planned that come up of Mary Hill. There is no, the topography of Mary Hill does not allow for wide shoulders to be put in. Some places it drops off on one side, another places it goes straight up a hill. You all, I know it, the land use plan is for low density, but I'm not sure Mary Hill can take that much additional traffic. Not with just this subdivision, but with the other ones that have been planned as well.
So then you are saying you're all right with the exit onto Walnut Road?
I think they have to have the exit onto Walnut Road, make it easier to get in and out of the subdivision, especially for emergency. With high groundwater, I guess I'm more inclined to see a less dense development go in there to deal with the traffic and the high water. I know we have it in our land use plan as low density.
Okay, does anyone else on the board have a comment on the entrance and exit onto Walnut Road and onto Mary Hill Road?
Chairman,
Joe?
regardless of whether or not there's an exit of this proposed development onto Walnut Road or not, eventually they're all going to end up on Mary Hill. There's no other place for them to go. So whether or not part of them go out on the Walnut and then go to Mary Hill, or Walnut Road is eliminated, it doesn't matter. It's the same car still has to go, or the same vehicle onto Mary Hill, and whether they go north or south of there is a given. Walnut Road exit has nothing to do with traffic on Mary Hill. It's just a matter of where they go onto Mary Hill. I mean, the bigger question is with the cumulative effects of development on vacant lands between Silver Spring and Richmond Road, what the impacts are on Mary Hill. It's not just this development, it's also the remaining developable lands between Silver Spring and Richmond. You can't just look myopically at this proposal and say, you've got to do something to Mary Hill. You've got to look at all the vacant land and what it could be developed to under the existing comp plan and the traffic generated and the impacts on Mary Hill. That's the question.
Okay, does anyone else have a comment? No? Mark? Kathy, do you have anything? Okay. Orin, do you have anything?
No, I don't.
Okay. All right. Is there anyone else? Sir?
Hello again, Tom Bernclaw on Walnut Road. So there seems like there was some discussion about maybe varying from the comprehensive long-term plan. And I guess I have maybe more of a question maybe to the planner, and that is what would be the next zoning classification to reduce the density? I I think it's like maybe an A3. Was that like anyway, I'm not just exactly sure what it is, but you would know what it is. And I think it's a 3-acre minimum. And I know for myself personally, I think that would help ease the concerns that I have with regards to the seasonal high groundwater and allowing enough room for a home site and the appropriate grading and so on and so forth. And yeah, also probably kind of concur with Ms. Howard there and her concerns about the density as well. So thanks again for your time.
Sir?
Edward Pouts, W256N5921 North Hill Drive. First of all, are we here or are you here tonight to do the zoning or to approve this project? Because from a lot of the comments, it sounds like approving the zoning change automatically approves the project. The other thing I am terribly concerned about the traffic on all of those roads, Walnut, Mary Hill, Richmond, and it does not sound like there's been a lot of study on the infrastructure to handle more volume on these roads. Not only that, I'm also concerned about water levels in the ground. These are all going to be wells again. Partridge Hills is all wells. And we're all very concerned about water level and the aquifer. And then I think to take into consideration what Mr. Marcy said and Mr. Everly said, I think a study of the road infrastructure that's going to be surrounding this new subdivision is really lacking. It does not sound like there's been any plan whatsoever to handle this additional traffic. And then tell me, what is the impact going to be on Richmond School? Going to assume that all the children in this subdivision are going to go to Richmond School. Has there been any planning around that, the educational aspects? It just seems to me like there has been not a lot of planning for this subdivision whatsoever and the impact. You know, I can tell you Richmond Road, early in the morning, say rush hour, the time that people are going to work. If you take Richmond Road East down to 164, that's a traffic jam down there. It's very difficult to get out on the 164 during those times of day. Richmond Road is a country road. I'm not too sure you can widen it. I don't know. It just seems to me that the planning for this subdivision is not there and needs a lot more study. And if we're here to just change the zoning, then why are we talking so much about the subdivision and the access to Mary Hill and the access to Walnut? It seems to me if you change the zoning, it's pretty much tacit approval of this subdivision going in, and it will happen. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, anything else before I close this public hearing? Anything from the board? Nothing. Okay, then the public hearing number 3 is closed at
8:18.
8:18. Thank you. Okay, now we're going to open public hearing number 4, which is a request by applicant Eric Trapp, Meadowbrook Homes, on behalf of owners Paul and Yvette Perkin to rezone an approximately 3-acre portion of the property located at North 53 West 26321 Lisbon Road, LSBT 0269.993.001 from A10 Agricultural and C1 Conservancy zoning districts to the A3 Agricultural / Residential Estate and C1 Conservancy zoning district, specifically excluding areas with county shoreline zoning. Oren.
So I just want to start by saying that this is a two-part request. So we're on public hearing number 4. The proposal is for the rezoning as part of a request for a certified survey map. The petitioner is looking to create a new 3-acre lot to build a new home for his sister, who currently lives in a older farmhouse on that portion of the property. This is a reorganization of the lots that are out there. For the 3-acre portion, that part of the property would be is being proposed to be rezoned from A10 and C1 to A3 and C1 to accommodate the 3-acre lot. The overall certified survey map itself is a 3-lot CSM that would have a remnant parcel as well. And we can talk about that more when we get to that, or if there's questions regarding that from the Plan Commission.
Okay, Mr. Trapp, are you here?
Yes.
Would you like to come up in case the board has questions for you? Okay, is there anyone in the audience who wants to speak on this matter? Anyone on Zoom?
If anyone on Zoom would like to comment on this public hearing, please use the raise hand function. No hands raised on Zoom.
Okay, does the board have any questions for Mr. Trapp?
I have none.
I have none.
No?
I'm good.
Okay, Mr. Trapp, do you just want to explain what you're trying to do here?
It's basically the farmhouse is old and they want to build a new house on the property. Well, the existing house is too close to lot lines and different things, so we just had to reconfigure some things so that the new house will be in compliant with everything that the village is asking, so.
Okay, all right. Anyone have any comments? Joe?
I believe, I understand what you're planning on doing is getting rid of the existing structure and building a new structure
Correct,
on a 3-acre lot.
correct.
The only question I had, ma'am.
Okay, anyone else have any questions on this matter? Okay, we are closing public hearing number 4 at
8:22.
8:22. Oops, I forgot to open it. Well, we're gonna open up public hearing number 5. Is a request by applicant Eric Trapp, Meadowbrook Homes, on behalf of owners Paul and Yvette Hergen to rezone an approximately 1.7465 acre parcel located at North 53, West 26301 Lisbon Road, LSBT 0269.993.002 from R1 suburban single-family residential and C1 conservancy wetland and floodplain zoning districts to the A10 agricultural and C1 conservancy wetland and floodplain zoning district, specifically in excluding areas with county shoreland zoning. Okay, Oren?
I just want to point out that I brought up on the screen, the actual proposed CSM. So the last public hearing was for this proposed lot 1, which is a 3-acre lot. What we're speaking about now, during public hearing number 5, would be the rezoning of Mr. Hirchen's property, where his current single-family residence is located. That's currently zoned R1. He's looking to combine that with the remnant of the farm. That will allow the creation of the 3-acre lot that had the farmhouse on it, and then these agricultural buildings on the agricultural portion of the property will still have a principal structure, being his residence. So he's essentially dissolving his existing lot, reorganizing it into the remnant portion of the parcel, to further the goal of this whole project, which is to again create that 3-acre lot for the new home on proposed lot 1. So again, the rezoning for this would be from R1 to A10.
Okay, is there anyone here who has questions on this matter? Or who would like to speak on this matter? Okay, does the board have any questions on this?
No questions.
Is it consistent with comprehensive plan?
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Okay, I'm going to close public hearing number 5 at 8:25.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we're going to open public hearing number 6, which is a request by applicant Heather Dries, Home Path Remodeling, on behalf of owners Dania Della Piazzo and Michael Chris for a conditional use permit to allow an in-law suite in the R2 Single Family Residential Zoning District on the property located at N95 W23715 Hermitage Drive, LSBT 0150.003. Oren?
So this proposal for a conditional use is for a mother-in-law suite with a kitchenette that would be part of a home remodel at the subject property. The site is lot 3 of Presidential Estates, currently zoned R2. The future land use is low density. The existing zoning is consistent with that land use. Nothing's changing with that as part of this proposal. Again, in the R2 district, a in-law unit is allowed as a conditional use. In your packets, you have proposed plans for this remodel that include floor plans that show that as part of the first floor, the proposed first floor, there would be an in-law unit that would include the proposed suite, if you will. There's going to be a shared common entrance for the home and the in-law unit, so there would only be interior access. There's also some shared amenities for the home that would be in the vicinity of the in-law unit, including laundry and a restroom that would serve the remainder of the home as well. There is a request. I guess the Plan Commission needs to make a determination if the proposed interior door to the in-law unit is appropriate. Staff is recommending that it is. And there's some rationale for that in the review from both. There is a representative for the applicant here, if there's any questions from the Plan Commission.
Would you like to come up and, just in case someone has a comment? And state your name, please, for us, and address.
Heather Dries, I'm with Home Path Remodeling, 19435 West Capitol Drive in Brookfield.
Thank you. Okay, does anybody have anything? Does anyone have a problem with this interior door?
That was my question, for the planner. So the note from Home Path says that there's no exterior door, and that's what you were referencing. They will have a shared entrance an interior entrance into the mother-in-law suite?
Correct. So there's no separate entrance to the home for this in-law unit. Once you get into the home, you know, there's a hallway that goes to the left. They'd like to have a door there to separate the in-law unit from the rest of the house. Beyond that door is also a laundry area and restroom that serve the rest of the house. So there's common shared facilities. The proposed in-law unit will have a kitchenette for, you know, limited capabilities of providing some food service to the family member that's going to reside there. There's specific conditional use standards for in-law units. There's responses for those that have been provided that are in the packet. And one of the considerations, which would be from section 4H13D, the Plan Commission shall determine if it is appropriate to have an interior door between the in-law units and the principal residence.
The history behind that, and in-law units, as some of you may know, are a relatively recent creation in zoning codes. And for a number of years, they weren't allowed at all. And then they were allowed as miscellaneous conditional uses. And then when communities started and the county led some of the starting writing these conditional uses, the biggest concern, or one of the biggest concerns was, I should say that, there's lots of them. They can't look like a duplex and then, you know, and things. But one of them was that you shouldn't be able to design it in such a way that you can rent it out easily without the public knowing.
That was the
And
point,
that's the
that was my
interior
concern.
door concept. This one does not have an exterior door to the outside. So if they were to rent it to someone other than the mother-in-law in violation of the law, mind you, but people sue this. I'm not saying you would. Usually the first property owner never is the one that's the problem. Then they would have to go into the house and you know, be part of the family in order to rent this unit. So that's why the staff had less concerns about the interior door. If there is an exterior door to an in-law unit, we will strongly be recommending against having the interior door there at all.
Okay, that was my question, and I prefer the interior door as well.
But it made it easy in this case because they don't have an exterior door. It's when they have an exterior door and they still want the interior door that you have to struggle whether you think that's appropriate. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay, any other questions or concerns?
I have a question. Will the addition to the home, can the septic system accommodate another bedroom?
The current system is actually rated for 3 bedrooms, and we are converting 2 main floor bedrooms into 1. So we're actually staying a 3 to a 3.
Oh,
So we're
okay.
not increasing.
All right, thank you.
I would just add that there is, as part of the submittal, a letter from Waukesha County regarding a preliminary site evaluation of the septic system, which is one of the requirements, again, one of the specific conditional use requirements for an in-law unit. They have to provide such a letter, and they have.
Okay, anything else? Oh, I'm sorry, was there anyone on Zoom that wanted to comment on this? Okay, then I'm going to close public hearing number 6 at 8:33. Thank you. Okay, and now we need a motion to adjourn the public hearings.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Okay, passes, how many of there are? Okay, all right,
5-minute break.
okay. We'll take, what, 5-minute break?
At 8:33, we are going to pause the recording and take a 5-minute break.
Okay, we are resuming, let me see where, I even lost my.
All right.
Order. we're opening the plan commission meeting, right?
Correct.
Give me your agenda. No, please. Fine. Okay, I'm calling order the plan commission meeting on June 28th, 2023 at
8:47.
8:47. Okay, our first order of business is citizens' comments. If anybody wants to talk about anything that is on this agenda, now is the time. And please keep your comments to 3 minutes.
Anyone would like to make any comments on Zoom, please use the raise hand function. No hands raised on Zoom.
Okay, all right, moving on, the next is going to be the Merton Joint Planning Committee.
We are requesting skipping the approval of the meeting minutes until the planner has had a chance to review them.
Okay. Okay, then we're moving on to the Merton Joint Planning Committee recommendation, discussion and necessary action on the request by Joe Bukovich, MLG Capital, for the vacant property located along Mary Hill Road, LSBT 0255.998 for the following. Number one, rezone from A10 agriculture to R1 suburban single-family residential zoning district and recommendation to the village board of the same. Orin, do you have anything else to add here? Is Orin there? Yes.
No.
Okay. I guess then I ask for a motion. Is that what I do, Attorney Macy?
Yes, but we may want to know if the planner has any conditions or a recommended motion.
Oh, okay.
So in the staff review from both, we do have a recommendation for the rezoning of approval subject to the following conditions. The subject property to be rezoned, be limited to the tax key parcel for the subject property, subject to the Village of Lisbon's approval of a final plat, and directing Village of Lisbon staff to draft a rezoning ordinance and place it in final form consistent with the Village of Lisbon's discussion.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion.
Okay,
I'd like to make a motion to table this until such time as a traffic study is conducted on Mary Hill Road and Richmond Road to include all proposed and existing developments between Silver Spring and Richmond Road.
okay, we have a motion made by Joe. Do we have a second? Okay, do we have any discussion?
The reason I say that is that, to my knowledge, there are between Silver Spring and Richmond, there's at least 4, possibly more parcels that are either in somewhat stage of development, and they're all intertwined, and they're going to impact through their development the traffic on both Richmond and Mary Hill. And I don't think we can look at these myopically without considering all of them. I don't know. I don't have any idea how that traffic study, which should be performed by a qualified traffic engineer, how it's going to be paid for. The cost is not going to be insignificant, but I don't think we can make a determination on any of those developments. This is going to involve the Village of Sussex because they've got 2 or 3 developments on Richmond Road that are either recently done or pending. They've also got a large one on Mary Hill Road. And we've got at least 2, if not 3 large parcels slated for development or future development on Mary Hill Road. And it all works together.
Okay, is there any other discussion?
Yes, I have to tell you that the effect of the motion means we will hold another public hearing, because you can't consider the traffic study because it wasn't part of the public hearing.
I understand that, sir, and I think it should be another public hearing because the results of that traffic study, which are gonna take some time to be done adequately, are gonna be, I think that the public needs to comment, hear those results and comment on them, and I think the plan commission needs to have that information in order to make a wise decision.
Well, if you want to include as part of a friendly amendment to your motion, then that, and that the matter, once the study is done, be set for a new public hearing to consider the same.
Please,
Don't want to, I'm just telling the world, but.
no, that's a very good comment, Mr. Macy, and I wish I would have thought of that, but it's
The
true.
only other question I have is, you can't let this drag out forever.
Right.
I mean, that in a negative way, do we want to have a minute? I mean, if the study's not done, return it to the board in 6 months and decide what to do. I mean, you have the right to deny it, but I would be respectful of what you're saying, because that's what you want to do, and that's good. And there might be positive reasons to do it, but I'm worried, you know, a year from now, nobody's done the study, nobody's agreed to pay for the study, and what do we do?
Can we, whatever the proper motion is, to put a limit on this to 6 months? We have to do it to a date. So everybody, including the proposed developers and landowners, are treated fairly. I would put that it return to the plan commission within 6 months, and we either decide to deny it or act on it or do something with it. So everybody's got an end date to push this along.
So that would be December, planning commission meeting, you would say, and again, another friendly motion, and the matter, if not scheduled prior to, if the public hearing is not scheduled prior to this regular December plan commission meeting, that the hearing be scheduled for that date, regardless of whether the study is done.
You have that, Madam Clerk?
That is actually the week of Christmas. That would be Wednesday, December 27th.
Then I would make it January. The January plan commission meeting. I don't want to push this into I was trying to rush through something over.
That would be
Christmas.
Wednesday, January 24th of 2024.
Correct. That would be my motion.
Is the second okay with
I'm
that?
fine with the second.
Okay,
I mean, that gives, to me, in my opinion, that gives more than enough time to get this done. And get something.
You understand why I want to end?
No, I do. I don't want this going on. I don't think that's fair to the property owners. I don't think it's fair to the developers. This is going to involve multiple parties. Just trying to herd the cats into a circle is going to take some time. And I think somehow or another, the village of Sussex need to be made aware of this, because they're going to be a participant in this too, either informally or otherwise.
Is there subdivision entering on it, Mary Hill as well?
Yes,
Okay.
Vista Run is coming out onto Mary Hill. Newman subdivision up at the corner of Silver Spring and Mary Hill is coming onto this. This proposal is coming onto this, and there's a large parcel tract south of here on Mary Hill that may eventually be developed. And then there's 2 or 3 proposals, I understand, on Richmond Road in the village of Sussex that are gonna come onto Richmond Road. So we've got the perfect storm.
Understood.
okay, any more comments from the board? No?
Meets everything here.
Okay, a motion has been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Okay, the motion passes
Unanimously.
6-0. Mhm. Okay, so then, since the rezone didn't happen, do we do the conceptual review?
Well, that's a decision of the body, but the conceptual review, as all of you know, merely an opportunity for the staff to give their comments, preliminary review comments, and then for you to go down the road and give any comments that you want to make to the developer. This is to assist the developer in putting together their plans. Where are you at the moment? Now, you may say, I have nothing to say until I see this, the traffic study. That's fine. But you might say where you feel about the roads and not the roads, what you feel about the groundwater, whether there are other studies that you're going to require before you're going to consider for the approval. They need to know that.
Okay,
So, but if
All
there's
right.
nothing to share with them, that's fine too. But if you have something to share with them, quick and just going down the line.
Okay. all right, we'll stop it. We'll start at the end with Jeff.
Yeah, I guess I'd like to see the stormwater issue addressed by the developer. I know that I'm sure they prefer to do it as part of the approval process, but I'd like to see before we move forward that they take a look at that, make sure that they can produce what they say they will.
Okay, Sean?
Yes, thank you. As I said, the presentation, your presentation was thorough. The questions, as I said, would be stormwater number one. But what was brought up is that there's gonna be a lot of, this subdivision as well as subsequent subdivisions are gonna be drawing through the aquifer a little bit. Just to see where we are with groundwater and draws on wells. I don't know if that is possible to do as a study and project that. But that's something to address that. So, we don't have, so thank you.
There's a study that was done by Sewer Pack and indicated that the use of wells with at least a minimum 1 acre piece of land, with everything that goes into the septic field, it has almost no impact on the aquifer.
Okay.
A household.
All right, so basically, so what you're saying is that the risk is low of drawing it down.
That's my understanding, yeah.
All right, if you concur that the risk would be low on that, which it says, I'm perfect, and that would fit, so thank you.
Anything else, Sean?
No, thank you.
Okay,
I have a
Sherry.
question. You had mentioned, these would all be mound systems and the majority of them would be, exposed basements, so they would have to be, because the high groundwater, likely the houses would have to be built up on building pads. Are we going to run into the situation like we had in the one older subdivision where we had some flooding issues because we have all of these kettles? Because all these lots are up on building pads.
okay,
So that would be my concern with this layout.
okay. Joe, anything?
I strongly believe that Fox Hollow should go through to Autumn Way. I'm not concerned about the groundwater as far as building elevations. They'll make it work. I'm sure of that, and confident of that. Subdivision I live in, 2/3 of the houses have got walkout basements. I do not have one because I didn't want one, but they'll make them work, and it really, when they grade this thing, I'm not concerned about drainage within the subdivision. It'll work. I just want to make sure Fox Hollow goes through. I think that's a legitimate suggestion on the part of staff. I'm sure the stormwater will work and their stormwater study will prove that. As far as going out onto Walnut Road, I defer that until we see the results of them. I don't think that's not gonna have any impact on Murray Hill, because the car is gonna go either right or it's gonna go left. They're all going to end up on Murray Hill. There's no other way to get out. And so I'm not concerned about Walnut Road. I'm more concerned about Richmond Road and Murray Hill Road. That's it.
Okay. Brian?
We covered everything for me.
And they covered everything for me, so
Do we want to see if Lauren or the engineer have anything to add? Comments, conceptual comments, or you all in the vote? Want to get it in the record, or anything you have to say?
Yeah, my comments are in the report. I'll just go over quickly that the cul-de-sac length from Autumn Court needs to be looked at a little closer. The village subdivision ordinance limits cul-de-sac length to 500 linear feet unless a waiver is granted. When I looked at it, it looked to be slightly over 500 feet, so that would be something that, and it was slightly over. That is something that could be approved with the requested waiver. So developers should just look at that number and determine whether or not one would be needed, and if so, bring that forward should they proceed with a preliminary plat. Regarding Fox Hollow, again, the area development plan, if you will, included that connection. There's a temporary turnaround easement there. It was intended to go through to a future development on this property. I would like some feedback. So that's all I have to say about the Fox Hollow road item, is that staff's recommending that go through. The other item I would like potential feedback from the commission on is, are you okay with the density of this proposed development? Other issues aside, I didn't hear too many concerns about that. It went down the line, but it came up during the public hearing. It would be to the benefit of the developer to hear whether or not there are any issues with the proposed density.
I think we need the traffic study to make an educated decision on that.
Okay, appreciate that feedback.
I don't have
Did you
any
have
problem with the
anything?
density because it's consistent with the neighborhood. As far as I'm concerned, it's not gonna get down to 4 lots, so I mean, I can't see that happening. It just won't develop it. I think that the R1 zoning is, if it would work out, is consistent with the area.
Okay, Mitch, you said you had nothing? Okay. Okay. Then we just move on, John, is that what we do? Okay. Okay, moving on to new business. Okay. A is discussion and necessary action on the request by Eric Trapp, Meadowbrook Homes, on behalf of owners Paul and Yvette Hertgen for the following. Rezone an approximately 3-acre portion of the property located at North 53 West 26321 Lisbon Road, LSBT 0269993001 from A10 agricultural and C1 conservancy districts to A3 agricultural residential estate and C1 conservancy districts, specifically excluding areas with county shoreland zoning, and recommendation to the village board of the same. We want to take each of these individually, right? Okay. Okay, so Orin, do you have anything else to add to this? And do you have a motion that you would like to see?
Sorry, I don't have anything else to add. The conditions in both staff review would be a recommendation for approval, subject to, for the rezoning one, subject to approval of the proposed certified survey map and requested waivers, and the Village of Lisbon staff being directed to draft a rezoning ordinance and place it in final form consistent with the Village of Lisbon's discussion. And the payment of all fees, which is a boilerplate condition, yes.
Okay, do I have a motion from someone?
Madam Chairman, I'll make the motion to recommend approval to the village board with the recommendations from staff as stated.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Okay, motion passes 6-0. Okay, second, rezone N 53W 26301 Lisbon Road, LSBT 0269.993.002 from R1 suburban single-family residential C1 Conservancy Wetland and Floodplain District to the A10 Agricultural and C1 Conservancy Wetland and Floodplain Districts, specifically excluding areas with county shoreland zoning, and recommend to the village board of the same. Okay, now, Orin, do you have?
So similar to the last rezoning item, difference here being that this is specific to the tax parcel for Mr. Urchin's property, which would be 0269993002 from R1 to A10 again, subject to approval of the proposed CSM and requested waivers. The village directing staff to draft rezoning ordinance, and then the boilerplate condition for all fees to be paid.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make the same motion recommendation for going forward.
Okay, motion made by Joe. Do we have a second? Second by
Sean.
John. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion passes 6-0. Okay, our third is approval of certified survey map for parcel LSBT 0269.993.001 and 269.993.002 with related requests for waivers. Do we do each waiver separately? Okay. The first waiver is waiver to chapter 12, section 2.06 to exclude remnant vacate farmland. Okay, do we have a motion for that waiver?
I'll make a motion to approve the requested waiver to chapter 12, section 2.06.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Sherry and Sean?
Yes,
Second, Sherry and Sean. Thank you. Okay, any discussion?
With that waiver, does that excluded remnant get a new tax key?
That's the idea, is that the new lots of the CSM, which would be proposed lots 1, 2, and 3, will each get their own tax key. The current tax key will remain with the remnant, and now all of the portions of this farm will have their own tax key number.
Thank
Yes.
Okay, all in favor? of-
We have no control of that. They make it for True. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
That won't matter.
Right, that's in the control of the county, yeah.
But the goal is to have 4 separate parts. The goal is exactly what he said, and the whole reason for requesting it be done that way is so that each of the 4 will have their own tax key number. But I have no guarantee that they'll keep the mother tax key number or assign 4 new ones.
I just didn't want to create a parcel that didn't have a tax key.
Understood.
Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes 6-0. Okay, the next one is the waiver to chapter 12, section 4.01, parent Q, to forego showing location of soil boring tests on lot 3. Warren?
Lot 3 is a vacant farmed parcel north of K. There's no proposal to develop that at this time. Staff has no objection, is recommending approval of the requested waiver.
Okay, do we have a motion on this? Who is that? Second, okay, second? Sherry, okay. All right, any discussion?
Just comments.
Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion passes 6-0. Okay, the last waive, what?
Drink too much water.
Oh, okay. The last waiver is to chapter 12, section 4.01, Karen R, to forego showing location of soil percolation test on lot 3. Warren?
Again, no proposed development, so no need to have them do guesswork of poking holes on this property when we don't have any proposed development on it. It's going to continue to be farmed at this time.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve this waiver?
I'll make a motion to approve the requested waiver to chapter 12, section 4.01R.
Okay, motion made by Sherry. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Brian. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Now do we have to approve the certified survey map?
They just did. Mitch, have you reviewed this?
Yeah, okay. There's no, you don't see any technical comments because they were best all.
Okay, great. Just wanted to make sure.
So yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Warren, do you have a motion?
Yeah, that the Village of Lisbon Plan Commission recommends to the village board approval of the certified survey map for Eric Trapp, Meadowbrook Homes, Inc. and Paul Hirchin and Yvette Hirchin for property located at N 53 West 26-321 Lisbon Road, Pewaukee, Wisconsin 53072, and N 53 W 26301 County Road K, Pewaukee, Wisconsin 53072, LSBT 0269993001 and 0269993002, subject to the following conditions. We've got a condition number 1. Subject to the approval of the rezoning. Condition for the first portion of the rezoning request. Condition number 2, subject to the rezoning for the second portion of the rezoning request. And condition 3, the petitioner satisfying all comments, conditions, and concerns of the Village of Lisbon Plan Commission, Village Board, engineer, planner, attorney, including those outlined in the report. And yep, and then all fees being paid.
Okay, do we have a motion to that effect? Okay, motion has been made by Joe. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Jeff. Do we have any discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion passes 6-0. Okay, next, under new business is discussion and necessary action on the request by Heather Drive Home Path Remodeling on behalf of owners Dania Della Piazzo and Michael Crisp for a conditional use permit to allow an in-law suite in the R2 Single Family Residential Zoning District on the property located at N95 W23715 Hermitage Drive, LSBT 0150.003. Owen, do you have anything further?
We've got some, the recommendation is for approval, subject to approval being limited to this tax parcel number. Plan Commission finding that the interior door between the in-law unit and the principal residence is appropriate as depicted on the proposed first floor plan, sheet A12 in your packets. The village staff being directed to draft a conditional use permit and place it in final form consistent with the Village of Lisbon's discussion. And that the conditional use approval shall not be in full force and effect until such time as the petitioner obtains the necessary approvals and satisfies all comments, conditions, and concerns of village staff, the Plan Commission Board, and the county for anything they would potentially need from them.
Okay. We need a motion on this.
I'll make a motion to approve the conditional use request for an in-law unit for Heather Dreiss, Home Path Remodeling, and Dania I'm gonna screw up her last name, Pizzala, and Michael Chris for the property located at North 95 West 23715 Hermitage Drive, LSBT 0150.003, subject to the planner's comments.
Okay, did you add in there a conditional use permit? Was that in there?
Mhm.
Okay, I didn't hear everything, so. Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Brian. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Passes 6-0. Okay, number C, discussion and necessary action on the request by Patricia Hun for approval of a single lot certified survey map to combine the properties at LSBT 0177.006 and LSBT 0177.007 in the R1 County Shoreland zoning district and recommended to the village board of the same. Okay, Orin, have anything else?
The proposed CSM meets the village's requirements. The conditions recommended would be petitioner satisfy all comments, conditions, and concerns of Village Plan Commission Board and staff, and subject to paying all fees.
Okay, do we have a motion on this?
I'll make a motion. And then I have,
What?
I'll make the motion. Then I have a question.
Okay, okay, motion was made. Do we have a second? Second by Jeff. Any discussion?
Why are we doing?
The
I mean, we used to go down to, we used to send people to the register of deeds office and say, if you want to combine two adjacent lots, go down there, fill out the paperwork and you're done.
Oh, boy, now you're gonna get me going. You don't eliminate lot lines if you go and do that, and most communities have eliminated that potentiality. Also, if you don't require the certified survey map under the new law, they
Okay.
can sell each lot separate, and we have to deal with those legal non-conforming
Okay,
lots.
when was
This
it
is
changed?
the greatest thing in the world, when we have
Okay.
so many people on Apache Lake doing this right now, it's like an
I know,
epidemic.
I just wonder when it changed. That's all I know.
Okay, well, Vernon, you may have been there in Vernon when Kathy brought this up because of all the problems it's caused. I will keep this short.
Yeah.
When I go to seminars around the state and I talk about Waukesha County's way of combining lots by waving a magic wand, everyone laughs at us. They say, Lake Geneva said, we have never done that in the history of Walworth County, waved a magic wand and eliminated lot lines with a
Okay.
deed restriction.
All I know is I was learned that, and that's what I did for a long time.
Right.
I just asked the question. So never mind, I'm out of business now, so I don't have to worry about it, but I was just curious when it changed. Because we were told by my dear buddy Lee that that's what he wanted to do, so we sent
Yep.
people over. Okay, never mind, I'll shut up. Call for the vote.
Well, I just want to interject that the petitioner is present, but my understanding is that the adjacent lot, which was vacant, was available for sale. The petitioner wanted to control that lot and potentially build a pool in that area for her own personal private use.
Happens all the time. It's a good idea. I'm glad you did. I just wonder why it changed. That's all. I'm old and ignorant.
That's how you can go back to building.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All approved. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Okay, motion passes 6-0.
I'm just.
Thank you so much. Okay, D is discussion and necessary action on the request by Carl Johnson, Stark Pavement, for approval of a temporary site plan and plan of operation amendment to allow limited extended summer hours on the property located at North 52, West 23096 Lisbon Road, LSBT 0280.992 and LSBT 0280.999 in the Q1 Quarrying District. Okay, Orin?
So we've seen this request before. Occasionally, the asphalt plant on this property wants to have extended hours temporarily to accommodate a project for the interstate system where work needs to be done at night. And that's to the benefit of the public to allow that type of work to occur. The petitioner is present. If there are questions, just quickly going over Foth's staff review, the request was for 30 instances in 2023 and 60 instances in 2024. Staff is recommending that the petitioner reapply for the 2024 season after the first of the year. That's historically how these requests and approvals have gone. It gives the Plan Commission time to see how the season goes and reassess for the next season. And there are recommended conditions of approval that are consistent with past approvals.
Madam Chairman, I have a question. Is there any way
Thank you.
is there any way that we can conditionally approve 2024 so the applicant and us don't have to go through this again and make it a staff decision if there's aren't any issues this year that it just be rolled over for 2024? I'm just trying to save everybody time and money because I'm cheap, but it's just, is there any way we can do that?
Yes, we have to craft the language. But they will approve it with the condition that the 2024 has to be approved by staff for review of what, if any, issues may have arisen in 2023 and subject to any conditions that the staff puts on it.
Yes, that's the motion I would like to make.
I was going to make I was going to raise the same issue, and I just wanted to point out it was
It's not that I don't like seeing you every 6 months, but I mean, it's just like,
likewise. And I was going to point out that it was not unintentional that I pointed out that this approval was done in 2019,
Yeah,
2020, and 2022. And
Would
so,
you explain exactly what you're asking for?
yes, we are just asking for the permission to operate the facility at night so that we can pave specifically Blue Mountain Road in Brookfield. It's a project led by WISDOT. It's a US highway. It's one of the most busy retail stretches of state-owned roadway in the state. And as such, it's required by contract to be performed at night. We have this job under contract. So it will move forward one way or another. And we would like the opportunity to have the option of using the Lisbon asphalt plant to service this job.
Okay,
the reason for my interjection on this is that we've got a good employer in the village that does a good job, and if they don't mess up, you can save them a few bucks and it makes us all better off. I mean,
Out
if
of respect for the Plan Commission's time as well.
Yeah, I mean, well, we get paid so much that it doesn't make much difference, but it's just that, if there's a screw up, we'll all hear about it. Given their location, I'm thinking we will. And assuming that they don't,
Indeed.
why go through it? So,
So I just sort of rattled off some words. Did I say the administrator? I have to define who the person is.
I would say the administrator. No, you did not. I said staff, but I'll amend it to say administrator.
Okay, do you have that motion, Madam Clerk?
Well, it's approved as requested with the condition that 24 has to be reviewed and approved by the village administrator and any conditions she imposes.
Yes,
Condition. He doesn't like the commission, he will be back. He can come back to the plan.
Okay, all right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, second by Sherry. Is there any discussion on this? No, okay. All in favor of this motion signify by saying aye.
aye.
Aye. Nays? No. Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you.
Have a
You are
great
welcome.
season.
Okay, just E is discussion and necessary action to assign a zoning district to the properties owned by Land and Stone Products used for quarrying located at LSBT 0286.999.007 and LSBT 0286.999.008. Owen, do you have any information?
Nothing further to add from the report, no.
Okay. Okay, we're looking for a motion to assign a zoning district to these properties.
So moved.
Okay, who was it? Jeff, okay. Do we-
Yes.
Yes. We don't have a second yet.
Second.
Do we have a second?
Sean,
Sean seconded it. Any discussion?
no? Is this the only one we've got to do this on? Okay,
There's the Hammond property on the corner
Yeah,
I think that also doesn't have zoning currently.
Yeah, we'll bring it back. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion passes 6-0. Okay, F. Discussion and necessary action to adopt a floodplain zoning ordinance and recommendation to the village board of the same.
So we've got the draft ordinance before you. Again, the DNR says that it is ready to be approved, subject to a minor technical correction, which would come in on under 2 official maps. It's just the way that the information is presented. They would like it tweaked slightly. So the request is for a recommendation of the village board of approval, subject to necessary approvals and satisfy all comments, conditions, and concerns of staff. Essentially, it says plan commission board and staff are kind of boilerplate language, and the DNR. And then we're also looking for the plan commission to direct village staff to schedule a notice of public hearing for the shoreland overlay and shoreland wetland ordinances and associated changes to the village's zoning map for the July 26th plan commission meeting. So I guess we're looking for
Oh, we can do it that quick?
2-part. We can do it that quick, yeah.
Good. Good, then we get that off of us.
Okay, do I have a motion? That's not on the agenda.
Oh. Okay, we can just do that then.
Okay,
Yeah, it's just adoption of the floodplain ordinance subject to DNR comments.
and recommendation to the village board?
Correct.
Yep.
So moved.
Okay, do we have a second? Sean. Okay, we have a motion made by Joe, seconded by Sean. to adopt the ordinance and recommendation to the village board of the same. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Nay. Motion passes 6-0.
Orin, you guys did a great job on this. I mean, it was the most efficient, cost-effective way of dealing with this, and I appreciate your work on this.
Okay, number 6 is the planner report. No planner report at this time, okay. Then we're looking for adjournment. A motion for adjournment.
Second.
Okay,
Making a motion.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay. Well, that's